Five.
Oh, is it working? Oh my!
Oh my gosh, Brenna! Hi.
Thank goodness.
Okay, I told you all that it'll be worth the wait.
It
I
was gonna be
apologize,
worth
Brenna.
it. Great.
For everyone who's tuning in, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to The Facts with kfactorfilms. I'm your host, Ryan Delaney, and tonight we have Brenna D'Amico joining us. I'm so happy to have you on, Brenna. Let's just jump right into it because I know everyone was anxiously waiting to have you on, and now we're here. So let's start with, who is Brenna D'Amico, and how did you get to where you're at today at such a young age? It's so impressive.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. I think just from a young age, I always was so into performing, and I started musical theater when I was 8 years old. And I did that for roughly until I was 12, and I wanted to get into TV and film. And so my mom got me a manager in Chicago, which led me to get amazing auditions over tape. And then I got an audition for Descendants on Disney Channel. And then I flew out to California and auditioned for them. And that's when it all started. And it was so surreal. Descendants was the first thing I booked.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So I heard that you said from Chicago. So you're originally from the Midwest.
Yes, I am.
Wow. So did you always want to be an actress? Like, did you just know that, or?
Yeah, as a kid, my parents were so supportive with letting me try anything from dance to sports to all of that stuff, and never made me stay in something that I didn't want to. So it took a couple years to figure out what I really loved, but when I started musical theater at 8 years old, I just knew. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Something along those lines, just performing.
Absolutely. And I think everyone could agree that they love to watch you and they love to watch you perform. You're so good at what you do. I want to let everyone in on a little secret. I had the opportunity to work with you as your producer, and I want to let everyone know that working with you was not just on a professional level, but you were just a joy to be around. Do you ever get, I mean, of course you get stressed, but how do you handle that? Because I've never seen that on you. You've always been composed, calm, and collected, and working on a film set is a high intensity stress level.
Of course, and I have been stressed, but I'm so glad that I never let it come across that way. I think it's just because, like you said, it's an intense stress day to day filming for everybody, and I think just in my mindset, I know everybody's just trying to get through the same day, trying to get the job done, and whatever I can do to lessen that or make it easier for people, it's what I want to do.
Sure, absolutely. So let's go back to, you said that you were in Chicago and you started out with The Descendants. That was your first big role, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what was that process like? Was it just one audition, or was there multiple? What was that like? And talk about nerves, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I was, when I was 13, I was just so excited to be coming to California, and it was actually a crazy audition process. For reasons people might not think. I had one audition with the casting directors, and then they told me in the room, "You're amazing. We want you to tomorrow. There's a producer director session, and we would love if you went to that." And I did. And the next day, I went to the infamous 21st floor of the Disney building, I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" As a 13-year-old, I was just so excited. And I still am today. It's so surreal. So that's when I met Kenny Ortega, who directed all the films, and everybody a part of that network-wise, and it was incredible. And then a month later, I flew back home, and then a month later, I got a call. I was home alone, and my mom and my sister were at the movies, and my agent called me, and I was a very, very, very huge little Broadway geek at the time, and still love Broadway, but Kristen Chenoweth was in our first movie, and the first thing that my agent said was, "How would you like to work with Kristen Chenoweth?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I knew right then and there. I was so excited.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I love that story. So, okay, so now you're here in LA. Is that where you filmed Descendants, or you got the call that you got booked and you're gonna play Jane? So now what?
Yeah, 14 days after I got the call, they were like, we're gonna fly you to Vancouver. And I was like, "Oh, Canada!" So we filmed all of our movies in Vancouver and Victoria, BC, and all of that, and it was amazing.
So were you still in school at the time?
I was still in school. I was homeschooled my whole life. It was just a lucky coincidence. And I graduated high school when I was 16 because you know, being on set and everything, I had a pumpkin time, which means I had to get out of there by 9 p.m. usually. I
Okay.
couldn't work with the rest of the cast usually, and I had to go home early. And I was like, no, I want to work as long as I can. So I worked through summers and graduated at 16, so I could work with them.
Wow, wow. So you were very persistent to, still get your high school education and
Hmm.
still work at the same time and do
Right.
what you love doing. That's incredible. What, so people who are starting out in the acting world, what advice do you have for them for the very beginning?
So my advice would be just do everything and anything you can to get experience, which means, you know, taking acting classes if you can, joining your local theater productions, watching movies and TV and studying actors and actresses that you love, and just believing in yourself. We get a lot of no's. Still to this day, actors and actresses, we get a lot of no's. And
Right.
if you just believe in yourself and push through and have such a love for what you're passionate about, I think everything will turn out the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely. I think that's very well said. So can you let us in on any secrets who, encouraged you in the very beginning or who gave you advice that it really stuck with?
Yeah, I think my parents played such a big role in motivating me to keep going because they believe in me so much. They're my number one fans. My whole family is. And they just always told me, like, we feel that this is what you're meant to do. And I felt that from them. So having that second, having that more encouragement from them really, really pushed me through.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so you're filming The Descendants, and you guys had a long run with that show. There was three
Hmm.
movies, correct?
Yeah.
What was there one specific movie, like the first one, second, or third, that was your favorite filming?
Um, oh goodness. I loved all of them so much, but I think the third one was my favorite just because I got to do one of my own stunts which was going underwater in this freezing lake. It was awesome, but it was very cold and I got to open my eyes and underwater and it was crazy to be able to do that. And all the dance numbers and the music is my favorite in the third film. And I think just it being our last film and kind of knowing that it was very bittersweet, but also made us put 110% effort into whatever we were doing and enjoying and savoring the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just all memories that you'll probably hold, forever. So,
Hmm.
so let's get into Night Night since we're going to talk a lot about that. We discussed a little bit like who you are, where you're from, kind of how you got to where you're at. You said some advice for others who are watching, starting out in the industry. So Night Night, how did this come about? And without giving too much away, let's talk about it. First off, with who your character was.
Yeah, I met Nikki just through mutual friends, and we were hanging out a couple times a month, and we just really clicked and connected. And soon after we met, she brought me this script, and I read it, and she was like, "Give this a read, and let me know what you think. I would love if you played April Davis." And I read it, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I was like, "This is something that I've never done before. This is
Yeah.
something that I've always wanted to do." I got to play around with dramatic work in Code Black. I guest starred on that as a pregnant teenager, and I really loved that. I really, really always knew drama was more my niche, even though I love comedy and I love lighthearted work as well. I just love drama, so I was very excited. I was like, "Oh, this is something like I've never done before. I would love to do this." And then when I got there, diving into April's mindset, because the whole movie is about this young woman who gets into a terrible accident and is unfortunately put into a coma for a few months. And then as soon as she wakes up, these weird phenomenons start happening, and she's battling with knowing if it's all in her head or if it's real life and threatening to her. And I think getting into her on the plane there to Texas, I had like a little notebook and I would write down all of her thoughts and I would write down just getting to know her more because I think building a relationship with your character and your is really important.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. So you met Nikki, I guess, what you were saying, in Los Angeles, and you connected with the script. It was very exciting too. The script was written by Robert Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
which what what went into you reading a script? Like, how do you determine, yeah, this is a character that sits well with me? How does that process go for you?
I think when I sit down and I want to kind of have an outside perspective. So obviously when I was at this script, Nikki said she would love for me to play April, but I want to read every script just from an outside perspective and not have
Sure.
the notion that I might be in it or might not. And I think that really keeps me open to seeing every part. And all of these characters are so fleshed out. Robert Johnson did such an amazing, sorry, that's his nickname.
That's his
Robert
nickname.
Johnson it did such a good job of fleshing all of these characters out in such a cool way. And I think what drew me in was just I didn't know what was going to happen page to page. Every single time I read the next page, I was like, oh, wait, what I thought happened didn't actually happen. This happened. And I really liked that it was thrilling that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you feel any pressure of, you know, making that character come to life? How you, to make the audience, when they watch it, feel the way you felt while you were reading it?
I think it was more excited, nervous, just to be able to, from years of acting classes and just making sure I was prepared for a role like this when it did come. And I'm very happy that it did. And I think it was more of just nervous, excited, instead of those other jitters.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm hearing, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the preparation that you put in years and years kind of helps you prepare for each role that you get. So you were prepared. You were
Of course, and
prepared.
that's the advice
Yeah.
I would give to other actors: is never stop learning, never stop. It doesn't matter what you're working on right now. If what you booked is what you're working on right now, if you're never go for a certain character and just study that, study everything, so that when you do get an audition or you do get an offer, you're like, oh, I have this in my back pocket. I've worked on a character like this before.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and practice those ranges.
Mm-hmm.
So just for everyone who's tuning in, Night Night comes out November 16th in select theaters and video on demand streaming services. You guys could check out nightnightmovie.com for that information and pre-orders, and you could also check out Night Night on Instagram. So Brenna is April Davis in Night Night, and Brenna, let's talk about what that was like when you first landed in Dallas. We or Corsicana. We worked in Corsicana on this movie for a long time. Have you ever been there, and what was that experience like?
No, I've never been there, but I loved it. I loved the town we stayed in, and obviously we all got so close. And the first time I came to Corsicana, Ryan was waiting for me to arrive at the house I was staying at with Nikki, our director, and a couple of our other producers. And I step out of the car and I immediately just fall.
Yeah.
I immediately just biff it. And I'm like, okay, this is the most Brenna thing. At least I'm showing you who I am right off the bat. And I thought that was the funniest thing.
No, it was definitely a memory I'll always have too. It was a great time, and I love like those connections and meeting people like that and having a good memory. So yeah, let's talk about Nikki Koss. So this was your first time working with her, and this is her directorial debut.
Yeah, and I trusted her immediately because we went out to dinner after we talked about the script and how I expressed my interest in it. And she shows up to dinner with this huge binder of her shot list, of pictures, of references, of so many notes. And I was just so in awe of her because I've never seen her in this mode.
Right.
And I immediately just trusted her so much. And I could tell off the bat she was collaborative, but really getting to set and see her work, any ideas that me and the actors had, any ideas that you and other producers had, we always tried out. She was the best listener, but also had such a clear vision, which is very helpful to us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you just said. I do have to comment. Yes, Nikki was extremely prepared. That was amazing because like you expect directors to be prepared with their stress, but it was a beautiful thing. And you talked about trust as an actress with your director. How important is that trust, and why?
I think it's so important, and something that's really great is that she's also an actor. So while directing us, she, instead of being like, oh, do this, feel this emotion, say this here, or giving line readings, she would ask us questions. and say, what do you think, April's thinking in this scene? How does this make her feel? And that helps me as an actor get to more of a genuine place instead of just taking a line reading or a simple feel this right now, and I
Sure.
think this trust is so important in that, because we're all just, like I said, trying to get through the same day and make an amazing project, and I think we did with this one.
Absolutely. I would have to second that. I do believe that we did great with this one.
Hmm.
Um, so let's talk about what was it like. You shared a lot of screen time with Taylor Gray, who plays Jax, and Derek Augustine, Nick Marini. What was that experience like? And and there's a lot of other actors that you shared screen time with, but you know, how was that process? Did you know any of them before, or did you guys get to rehearse, or how did you build that connection with all of them?
I want to start off with saying we are still like very good friends to this day.
Yeah.
We just really, really, really built such close friendships on that set, because obviously it's easier that way, with communication and comfortability. And I didn't know any of them beforehand. So building that trust and relationship is so important, because we have to act like we have known each other for years and years, especially me and Taylor being brother and sister. And I feel like me and Taylor did have a very brotherly sister relationship on set, which also helped. And they were always so open to rehearsing. And usually when we were in the makeup trailer getting our makeup done, we would run through our lines. But when we got on set, we kind of dive into it together, talk about our thought process and what we want to do. There was sometimes that me and Derek we would just break out laughing. It didn't affect our scenes though, thank goodness. But like there was just sometimes we'd look at each other and we would just burst out laughing. I love that man.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I remember all those moments having like, what's the word? Is it deja vu or something while you're talking?
Oh yeah, and me and Nick
It's
Marini had a very different, obviously, on-screen relationship. It
sure.
was very intense. It was very high stakes. So what I love about him is he made sure that I was always comfortable, that I always
Mhm.
felt heard and seen, and I really, really appreciate that about him. And it was just a joy to work with all of that.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible to hear, and I'm sure they'll be very happy to hear that. So can you tell us a little bit about Night Night without giving too much away? And let's start with that, and I'll go into
Yeah,
my
I
next
think
question.
I think like I said before, um, uh, it's about this young woman, April Davis, who I play, who gets into a severe accident, and afterwards she wakes up from being in a coma for a few months, and so many crazy things are happening to her, and it's this push and pull of thinking, is it the medications she's on? Is it from being in a coma and just hallucinations, or is it something really happening in real life that's severely threatening to her? And I think that's what's so thrilling about it, because even the audience doesn't know until they know. Just like when I was reading the script, like I said, I would think I would know something and be like, oh, okay, this is happening, and then I wouldn't. I think that's what makes it so thrilling, because there's just, you don't know until you know in this film,
Yeah,
or you think you
absolutely,
know.
absolutely. Or you think you know.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, exactly. Um, let's talk about the wardrobe. What was April Davis's wardrobe like?
So, April's wardrobe, I was honestly very surprised at the wardrobe when I saw it. And I had to, in my head, express now in my little notebook why she wore the things she did. And I think I pulled from my parents passing away. April Davis's parents passed away in the film. And I kind of connected that to it maybe being her mother's clothes or some items, or she styled herself around that because it made her feel like she was kind of still there and a part of her. And that's how I kind of justified that, because it was such a cool wardrobe.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love to like get inside the actresses and actors' heads of like how how they create that character, right? Because it's a
Mm-hmm.
blank slate. So
Right.
so tell me more a little bit like what was some of the hardest scenes that you had to do filming Night Night without giving, some stuff away? I know
There
this is
was,
he's a little tricky, but
of course, and I think this shows in the trailer as well, but I don't think people are ready for the amazing stunt scenes that me and Nick Marini filmed together.
sure.
They were, it was just insane. And, I got bruised and beaten up a little bit for the film, but I loved it. I loved being a part of that, and our stunt choreographer was so amazing with educating us and making it fun. And me and Nick would rehearse and make sure everything was really safe, but also it was like thrilling and such a rush to do together. I think people are going to be really, really surprised about how intense some of them get.
Absolutely. So you did your own stunts.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. So was this your first time? I mean, I know you said you did your own stunts in Descendants, but was there more
This was
stunts in
maybe
Night
my
Night?
first time, yeah, doing a fighting sequence.
Okay, and how was that? Were you a bit nervous for that, or did you prepare for that, or?
I, let's see. I don't think I really did. I work out all the time. Like, I love working out. It's like my
Sure.
favorite thing to do, one of them. And it's a really big part of my life. So I think my stamina was good for it, but I don't think I was prepared for, like, all the different stunts that we had to do and everything. It was crazy. I loved it though.
No, absolutely. And I know we've watched the movie together already, and I was like, wow, good for Brenna. Like it looks incredible. It's the real deal. I was there when you were filming that scene, and it was incredible just to see you go through that and really, get into it. It was just incredible to see how you did your magic on this film. So for everyone who's watching, again, Night Night comes out November 16th. Um, in select theaters, also on video demand streaming services. You guys could pre-order on nightnightmovie.com, and you could also check us out on Night Night Instagram and kfactorfilms. Brenna, what's next for you? So after Night Night's done, what happens as an actress as the lead in a movie? Do you have responsibilities after that, or like is there premieres happening, or what happens? No one
So
really talks about the back end.
right, exactly. I think everybody put so much work into the back end of this after we were filming. And we had a lot of time because right after we were done filming, quarantine happened and the pandemic hit. So I think we all had a lot of time to focus on editing and planning the marketing that we're doing right now, which is amazing. Terrible that the pandemic has happened, but
I know.
yeah, like I'm so excited. We have a couple premieres this weekend, and we have one next weekend that I'm very excited for. And what I have coming up next is I'll be filming an indie feature film. It's a coming of age film next year, in the summer, and I'm so excited about that. I can't give too much away, but I know everybody's really gonna enjoy it.
So can you give us where you'd be filming it?
Probably Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, so a lot of films have been filming there in New Mexico
Mhm.
lately. I wonder why. Just the location,
Maybe
the
the location
convenience.
is set in the 90s, so I
Sure.
think that desert kind of vibe is very fitting for this film.
Sure. Well, I'm super excited for you for that, and I'm of course a huge fan. Love following you. You're a pure joy to work with. You're sunshine. That's how
So are
I could
you. You are
you know.
sunshine. You
Thank
are
you.
one of
And
the
so
best producers I've ever met, and you actually started my passion and interest for producing because you are so incredible.
oh wow, thank you very much for that. So can you talk a little bit about your interest in producing as well?
Yeah, I loved watching you on set, and you were always, like I said, you were also so calm. And even though there was some stressful times, you just handled it, and you made everybody's day so much easier with the fires that you would put out that people don't necessarily know. I only knew because we were so close, and I would ask you questions like, "How is this happening? What's going on?" Because I was so interested. But everybody else, it's like they wouldn't even have known because you were so positive all the time. You try to keep everything, under wraps, so it wouldn't stress anybody else out. So I really appreciate that about you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I'm glad that I could inspire you to, step into the producing world as well. I think I could talk for everyone, though. We're not done seeing you grace the screens anytime soon. So, Brenna, I want to thank you so much for being on tonight. Thank you so much. Do you want to plug anything in? I know you talked about your movie that's coming out. We can't give too much away, but of course, I want to hear it one more time from you about Night Night when it comes out.
November 16th in
Yeah.
select theaters and on demand.
Absolutely. And everyone could follow you that's not already following you or keeping up with your journey and your future
Mhm.
projects at Brenna
Brenna
D'Amico.
D'Amico on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and then my TikTok is Brenny BRENNIE88.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So thank you again so much for being on. I'm excited for everyone to check out Night Night. It's gonna be a night to remember.
Oh, we love it.
We
Oh,
love
we love
that. A
it.
night to remember.
We
So,
love
all right.
that.
Thank you, Brennan, so much. And
Thank you
thank you
so
to
much.
everyone for tuning in. Have a good night.
Thank you.